Today we're going to be taking a look at the Necromunda Zone Mortalis floor tile set. Alright, and this is the brand new set that just came out. You get 4 of the floor tiles in it, and they're the Zone Mortalis style, all plastic. And let's take a look at these bad boys. And they are all 4 exactly the same. But if you spin them, you'll notice like subtle little differences in them. So they're ready to go right out of the box. I took a look at them and they don't need to be trimmed up or anything. They're real clean. So we're just going to lay them out and get them on the table. So we're going to get started with just a nice little base coat, nothing too crazy. I did appreciate these paints, and I'm going to throw on a little painting mask. I'm fortunate enough to have a painting area, so please mind my muffled speaking from here on out. And we're just going to do a quick little base. I did appreciate these up pretty good. We're going to start with a dark brown actually. The final color we're looking for is basically just going to be like, you know, beat up old metal. Just kind of like a wore out looking underhive basically. So we want to get like a real dark brown undercoat. You'll barely be able to tell. It's almost like a black. And then we're going to come in just a little bit like a gray color over that, lighten it up a little bit. And then finally we're going to hit it with the with a little bit of Leadbelcher and give it like the metallic look, but we still want like some of the grit to shine through, like the non-metallic. And then we'll go through afterwards and add in like some detail and some wearing and everything. So alright, so again, these are pre-shaken pretty good, but here goes. And this doesn't need to be uniform either, because we're not looking for like a perfect look. We're looking for like a little bit of gritty. So you might have some spots where you hit a little bit more. But overall, we want to just start with a light coat, so it's going to dry fast. Because what we're going to do is we're going to put a couple layers, a couple coats of paint on here. Another important thing to remember is too is you want to let everything normally dry pretty good in between coats, but again, we're not looking for like a perfect perfect coating here. But what we do want to do a little bit is kind of accent like the darker areas. So what I'm going to do is kind of get down in couple of the cracks in here around these things, and that's going to give like sort of a darker stay to them and kind of an accent, whether you look at them as like, I don't know, like a drainage or a vent or whatever. Just make them stand out a little bit more with the final product when it's all done. Because the last thing you want to do is just have everything all uniform when you finish up. Alright, so we give that a pretty good go. Definitely achieving the effect we were going for. Kind of see we got a little darker around the edges there and everything, just like we talked about. Now, we're going to basically do like a little bit of like a zenithal highlight here. So what we're looking to do is keep like the dirt down in the cracks And the darkness in the cracks is shading, and basically just sort of like simulate like natural or like above light. Even though there's no sun around here and this is like deep underhive, you know, we basically just want to make sure that we have plenty of light here. Kind of like, you know, simulated through our paint scheme. And you'll see we're already starting to, like, you know, pick out a little bit of that detail. Oh, normally when you're spraying like this, you want to basically like hold it down in like longer bursts and just slowly go across like whatever you're painting to keep it like smooth and clean. But again, we don't mind just like a couple little drips and everything. And you got to keep in mind too, if we get these a little more white than we want, that's okay. Because they're going to have like a nice little metallic accent and everything on them when we finish. But we're basically just looking, sort of pick out some details and, you know, get a little bit of, like, cheat the paint, get a little bit of free detail work done for us. So. Well, you can tell the difference between the Games Workshop paints. Like, ball bearings must be tiny inside these things, or at least not have any weight to them. Sounds like you're not even shaking it. So now we're just going to go in with the Leadbelcher at the end here. And basically just give it sort of like that metallic look. I always shake these a ton. Because like the metal sediment tends to like get in the bottom. So. Alright, so we're just going to give it like a little bit of that metallic look now. And we're not looking to lose all the color work we did. We're just looking to add to it. Those look pretty good there. So we're going to go ahead and let that dry down a little bit. Matter of fact, yeah, we'll let those dry a little bit, and then we'll come back and do our next step. So we'll be back in a flash. Alright, so we let everything dry for just a couple minutes, and just going to come back and just hit it with a little bit of X or something. I mean, it all looks pretty good. Just want to add a little bit of like randomness back into it. We don't want to go too crazy with this coat either. This is literally just to add a little extra something in. just try to use my creative eye and just kind of go a couple random places, but overall that looks pretty good. That looks like what we're looking to go with now. While that was going on, I did do a couple of things here. I went ahead and made this, and what it is, it's a cutout pattern. So you basically just be able to cut the white out, and you'll be left with that. And then the idea is, I measured out the deployment zones, and then went ahead and took the box and I cut out a couple patterns in the box. Now bear with me here. The idea is, and the measurements will all be posted up and everything, so you can do this yourself. From here to here is 2 inches. That's a 1 inch strip, so it's 3 inches to the edge. From here to here is 6 inches. There's a little extra to make up for if there was a base in the center there. The idea is, you can put this on here with the tile in it correctly pushed up, and then you'll be able to spray it. Go to the next tile, same thing, and you'll be able to get essentially the pattern on here, which in this case is going to be it's going to be our striping pattern, which we're going to do in yellow, and then we'll do a red around that circle right there. And then when it's all said and done, we'll take this bad boy and put it in the center of the 4 pieces. So we'll basically have the deployment zone mapped out. We'll have a nice little pattern with some cool little stuff. And I'm going to put all this on the website, so you can basically line this up on your box, or I'll put it in the notes, whatever, but you can put it in your box, and then you can mark those off and then trace it around. Do it yourself if that's what you want to do. So but yeah, there we have it for now, and we're gonna let that dry a little more, and then we'll come back with our pattern next, and start making these things look pretty cool. Not that they're not already looking looking better than bare plastic, at least. So we'll be back shortly. Alright, and picking back up where we left off, if you did like we said on the patterns and you followed along, you're basically going to end up with 2 pieces to the box. The first piece is literally just going to have this cut out in it, and the second one has this cut out in it, and you overlay them correctly. That's the whole idea. And what you're going to do is, you're going to basically pick, say this is the exact board how it's going to go. We're going to go around and put a black stripe on each of these pieces. And then we'll go back afterwards, lay that pattern on, and then we'll put a yellow stripe. And then when it's all said and done, we'll have like this side effect right here. And then for the center, we're going to do red. So we'll have a red circle around the middle. And then for our skull Necromunda symbol, we're going to do white. And that's going to go in the middle of all 4 tiles. Alright, so the next step. Get all these bad boys out of the way.